Hey, I'm doing a FENNIX overview because I did a video checking out FENNIX with our first look, the very first time I ever tried out the hero, and that video had a couple of issues with my internet, so I didn't really get a good, clear, coherent overview on the hero recorded, so I'm coming back to just sort of compile my thoughts. I even have a nice little checklist to cover all the topics today, so let's talk about the brand new hero, FENNIX. I'm going to try to get some gameplay in here just so you guys have something to look at besides me, but for now, we're going to be looking at the menu right here just to show exactly what he does and talk about what that means. So first and foremost, in support, he makes it so that tamed wildlife apply 15% damage vulnerability when they attack an enemy. Basically, pretty simple. Anytime they attack an enemy, the enemies will take 15% more damage, which will take more damage from your traps, from your weapons, from your hero, whatever you're doing. But in the lead, on top of that, the enemies that they attack get marked with a bomb, which is literally the Nocturno 6 perk, and then it deals 65% of the damage that the animal dealt to those targets in a surrounding radius. I'm assuming that's a half tile radius, just like the Nocturno. In fact, if I sneak through the menus right here, I can bring up the Nocturno and you guys can see it's basically that perk. So they've given the Nocturno to everybody. Sort of. There are a couple of problems with that, but I do want to talk about the positives of FENNIX. First and foremost, that's a really good perk. Assuming, we'll get there, assuming animals attack often, do tons of damage to their targets, or they mark a lot of enemies with those bombs, that's a really great ability, because I even had a couple of moments in game when I was shooting and every single one of my bullets was causing an explosion, and that would be awesome. I even want to draw more attention to the gameplay in the background right now, because I had an ideal situation where the perk was working almost exactly how I dreamed it would work. For whatever reason, my wolf just decided to behave, and it was tagging enemies constantly. It wasn't dying. Maybe it was the campfires keeping it alive, but running the Bobcat here, it was just booming every single enemy I hit. And this, in my opinion, was an ideal situation. This does not happen often. This was a very, very rare recording. This was not my experience in pretty much any other scenario, but especially with this first clip that I'm going to show again, I couldn't get the audio for you guys, but it boomed like crazy. Everything died all at once. It was beautiful, and that's the kind of thing I want to see from this perk. But the rest of this video will go on to explain that that doesn't exactly always happen. But there are a lot of problems, so I just want to get right into it. FENNIX's perk is great. I do actually think this is a really strong ability, but animals die very easily. I think we've all seen this. Anytime you've tamed an animal in Fortnite, they run into the crowd and they just get annihilated. I do all my testing in the 164 players or in single player. I record in the 140s. That's probably what you guys have been seeing. And I've even talked to a lot of people in stream, and I've used these animals in ventures where this is not unique to the high-end zones. I know that everything's more brutal in the 160s, but animals die very easily all over Fortnite, and sometimes they even refuse to attack. Thank you, Archer, for this gameplay where his wolf was just not doing anything. I even had this experience on my own. This is not a unique one. Sometimes they just don't attack. I don't know if it's an AI bug. I don't know if they're just programmed to be a little docile. Maybe they're got a little mercy going on, but I wouldn't expect that from a wolf or a raptor. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but if you're going to be utilizing a perk like FENNIX's or a perk like Gia's, you are going to want them to be attacking constantly. If you don't know who Gia is, she has Vital Bond. Basically, tamed wildlife heal the player. Now, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but I don't think that should be the player. That should be the animal. But in the lead, she makes it so that when you deal damage, you heal the animals. Now, that's the right direction. But a commander perk dedicated to just keeping your animals alive is bad. You guys know that I've always looked down on stuff like this, like Survivalist in the lead. Stuff like that is really bad. Crossbones Barrett, one of the best support perks in the entire game, should not be ran in the lead. That is not where he belongs. Little side note, there is construction going on upstairs. I know every YouTuber says this, and I hate it when they do that because I never care when it's in the background, but I'm aware, okay? We're just going to push through it. So that kind of perk can be really, really good, but yeah, that does not keep the animals alive. It's not enough. And that makes you kind of useless because your entire commander perk is now dedicated to just keeping your animals alive, which they should be already. Now, the third problem that I had listed here was that animals don't do a ton of damage. This is not my biggest point. This is why it's the third one listed here, but they attack. They do okay. With FENNIX's ability, that extra damage would be great, but it's not super significant. So I feel like if animals did a little more damage, that'd be good. And that kind of leads into the solution. So this is what I was talking about, where I do have 3 solutions to these 3 problems to propose. Hopefully Epic sees this. I can even pass this along to you guys because I want animals to be good. They are flimsy, little things that it's the same reason I don't tame a wolf in Minecraft, because they just die. It's just one more thing to deal with. Wolves in Minecraft, you know, they attack the mobs that you attack, but not nearly as effectively, and they die way quicker than the mobs do. So there's just no point in Minecraft, even though wolves are cute. But in Save the World, we don't get to save those animals between games, so there's not really I wouldn't name your animals, if you know what I'm saying. So these are farm rules over here. So the solutions I propose are that this one's kind of radical. So first and foremost, make animals invincible. I know that's a tough sell, but hear me out. They don't do that much damage. They are kind of like the Zap team perk. We have a team perk in the game called Zap, which if I can go over here and find it, basically you have a little Zap robot that floats around and zaps enemies. It's not a ton of damage. It's not nearly that useful. It's invincible. Why can't animals be invincible? Because if animals were invincible, it would just stop them from dying accidentally. It'd make them something you wouldn't have to worry about as a player. Or if we can't make them invincible, at least make them super strong. Maybe match your health. Like if I'm running Blast from the Past, this is where I was going to talk about earlier with Gia, where they don't need to be healing the player. Like if we have Blast from the Past, we have coconuts, it totally rocking out, even heals you kind of well. We have campfires and healing pads, which do affect animals. Archer claims that the healing bonuses you have on those doesn't affect them. I have not confirmed this myself, but I have seen that even double campfire doesn't necessarily keep them alive. I feel like that should affect the animals as well as it affects the player. And then I got 5 fingers up. I'm going on to the secondary finger for survivalist, which is pretty not great in our current state of the game, but it's still there. And then Saurian Vigor, which is currently garbage. But my point is the players can heal. We can stay alive. That part, no problem. Shoot, we can even eat the food that we feed the animals. So what I'm saying is with Gia's perk here, the player is not the one that needs this health. I think 15% of your damage from traps and everything should be applying to your animals. I feel like if this applied to the animals that you had tamed, that would be great. And I am saying animals plural. This is not necessarily one of the solutions I had planned to bring up in this video, but I brought this up in Gia's video where a potential team perk, I don't know what you'd call it, you can come up with something lore related, but a team perk where you could tame multiple animals at once would be fantastic. I don't know if that would function properly or what would go wrong with that. I don't know, but you could solve a lot of these issues if you were A, you know, healing the animals of Gia, and B, you had literally a pack of wolves. Imagine if you found a pack of 4 wolves and instead of picking one, you tamed all of them. Now you've got 4 on 1 if you're attacking one target, but you at least have 4 animals versus the crowds of enemies you deal with in Save the World. It's never a one-on-one fair fight. Even a mist monster or a mini boss, you've got enemies coming in from the sides. You've got lobbers throwing on your head. It's never a fair fight. So animals, more health. Obviously, okay, moving on with my solutions. Obviously, I mentioned animals don't attack very often. Attacking more often. That's it. I don't know if it's a bug that they don't always attack. Maybe there was some sort of like AI issue with Archer building on over top of a river. I don't know, but that could be looked into. I'm not certain. And I guess I already skipped ahead because my final solution was Gia support perk healing the animals. So yeah, that's basically the long version of what I was just saying in the very beginning. FENNIX's perk is great. Even Gia has potential, but animals are just terrible. In fact, I drew a picture that I want to share, and I'm bringing this up because I'm proud of it. Don't come at my art skills, okay? I'm proud of this. It's basically Fruit of the Poison Tree. I learned this from Manhunt Unabomber, fantastic show, by the way, where he brought up something about, it's a lawyer term, but the point is, animals are the tree that all of these characters are affecting. But because animals are bad, it makes the heroes bad. The heroes aren't even bad. They're actually kind of good. Gia's a little, like I mentioned, but FENNIX is great, but because the animals are so useless, it doesn't even matter. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's my overview on FENNIX. I'm really glad I recorded this because my 160 video was brutalized with my recording not working and my internet cutting out. And I'm glad to sit down and give a clear, concise view on all this when I've had time to compile my information. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and take it easy. I don't have a Nature Nocturnal crafted. Oh, that's satisfying. And then